Hey everybody, it's Irene with BrainStormAcres, and today it's time to get this bed planted. Now, ideally it should have been done probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. I don't even have the real seeds that I want to put in here. However, it's going to be good enough, because this is going to be one of those moments when you decide you're just going to plant what you have, and it's going to work as well as it works. Now I have to take a brief moment to show off my newest flowers that just popped out this morning. Let's see, you can see the orange flowers down here. Those are California poppies, and we've had those for a couple of days now. Today, for the first time, we actually have some iris blooming, and we have, let's see, we have purple ones here, and we also have a couple of yellow ones down here, a little harder to see. Very exciting. We've actually been having trouble with rodents. I suspect a squirrel who's been chopping off the buds. Yeah, we're going to fix that. But at any rate, I'm very excited to see that we do have some iris bloom this morning. We've been getting that promise, what I call a promise, which is when it looks like this, you know, where you've got the color that's showing, and you're like, okay, we've got color, we're going to have blooms, but not right this second. And we do have Johnny Jump Ups, also called violas, down in here. Let me see if I can. It's so bright here, it's hard to see where my camera's pointing. Yeah, down in here. Over here. Yeah. So there's violas blooming here, and our violets are going totally crazy. We have violets in the bucket right by the front door, and they're just loving life this spring. And I'm really thrilled because we had a very poor violet showing last year, so they managed to have found this little spot to sit in, and they can just sit there as far as I'm concerned. They're very cute. I did pull out some grass that was in there because the dog kept chomping on the grass, and I was afraid he'd eat the violets too. Now, the violets won't hurt you. In fact, the flowers can be candied and turned into fancy decorations for pastries and stuff. But that's not the point. I don't want him eating my flowers. So, yeah. So, that's that. There's the boy talking about boys. He's hiding in the shade, sniffing the world. And what else do we know? We know that we have a bunch of... Here they are. This is the most advanced group. We have a bunch of bachelor buttons right here that will be blooming very soon. They've got tons and tons of flowers on them, blossoms on them that are going to open soon. And I have almost all these like little clusters in the gravel are bachelor buttons. So I'll be working around those. Over here we have, this whole area here is bachelor buttons. And then this is bachelor buttons and California poppies and oregano. The oregano's gone wild in the yard, which is fine. I also have this section here, which is oregano and peppermint. And what I need to do is I need to sort that out, because I want to save a bunch of oregano and dry it for use in the kitchen. I'm actually going to freeze dry it. And the only weeds that are in here right now, weeds, well, there's some garlic in there, which are not weeds. They had to be transplanted because they were someplace where they didn't need to be. And then there's also some California poppies in here. I left just a couple that were on the edge of the bed, and my goal is to move them, so, you know, like lean them. I'd rather have them bloom outside the bed than in the bed, because they can take over the planet if you're not careful. So, and I could also harvest the seeds later, so that's always useful. I thought that I had the right variety of peas this year that I wanted to grow, and I didn't. And it is, I won't say it's too late to order them, but if I order them, it's going to be another 2 weeks before I have them in my hands. And about that time, we'll be leaving to go on an event where I'll be selling them in my shop. So I have some Haas Tools peas, Mr. Big Pea, which they had highly recommended a couple of years ago. And I am going to simply plant those. This crusty, crunchy stuff on top here is goat manure. It was gifted to us by a friend who has since passed. So this is her contribution to our our bed. I don't know where she got the goat manure from, but it's been sitting there it was sitting there in her yard for a goodly long time. And when we stopped by to do something else, she gave us the goat manure. She tried to give us 2 containers of it, but the other container had broken from sitting in the sun, and we did not have any way to transport. And I'm just going to plant. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to plant, and then I'm going to add irrigation, and we're going to make it work as well as we can. The reason we decided we would try to plant peas this year is because we've actually had trouble getting good fresh peas or even good frozen peas. I used to have a specific commercially produced variety that I was very fond of. Their peas were always sweet and wonderful and accessible. You could buy them at the frozen food department. In the last year, they just disappeared completely. I don't know whether, I know the company's not out of business, but I don't know what happened. So rather than do nothing, we're at least going to try doing something. So I am going to simply make some. The dog's going to be so excited by this because he's not going to understand it at all, because he's never seen this before. We didn't do much in the garden last year in terms of planting, and he's somewhat intrigued and sometimes a little naughty about his behavior in the garden. So he just doesn't know any better. And we've had trouble keeping him out of the flower beds this spring. So, ooh, okay, one of my least favorite creatures on the planet. We have a grub. That's a different kind. Okay. Well, I'm going to squish him anyway, but I don't know what kind he is. Usually I could identify them as June bugs or something like that, and that's a slightly different one. It's got different colorations. So, no grubs. We know from experience the grubs will eat the roots, and that's a bad thing. So, yep. Okay, so this section is ready to go, and that's what I'm going to do. Every 2 inches, it says. And we'll get to that. Probably put them every 3, but these are slightly older seeds, so we'll see how well they germinate. But I still feel like trying something is better than trying nothing. That's kind of my motto this year. All right. I think I'm going to have more than will go in this little section here. And that will be fine. I'll simply extend it down the bed farther. I'm just trying to concentrate the planting to start with, because that sort of makes sense. Makes it easier to water one specific area rather than a little bit here and a little bit there. And my goal for next year is to grow the kind of pea that I actually want to grow. I thought I had ordered them, and apparently I hadn't. And when I went looking, I was like, uh-oh, okay. And like I said, if I order them and wait, it'll be another 2 weeks. I don't have 2 weeks. 2 weeks will let, assuming these are viable and they have been stored properly, we'll either get something or we won't. But I know if we don't plant anything, we won't get anything. I'm trying not to smash these silly plants here too much. Boink, boink. It's very official when you have to make that boink noise, you know. All right. You'll find me marking things with rocks a lot of times. It works. There's another one there. Just handy when I'm running the irrigation lines to remember where I was. We had some odd bits and pieces planted in here that never did great. And that is garlic. Let's see what this was. I thought I got everything out, but it's obvious that other things have started to come up. I'm going to say that that's just trash. And there's weed. I hear a hummingbird yelling at me. It was so cool yesterday. I had what we call a Disney moment. I had gone inside and I washed the hummingbird feeder, and I had it just filled it up with hummingbird food, and I brought it out and I had literally just hung it up. Still had my left hand on the hummingbird feeder, and a little male Anna's hummingbird came and buzzed the feeder, and I held still because they will get used to you if you don't move quickly and stuff like that. Our friendliest ones are usually our black-chinned hummingbirds, but this was a little Anna's, and he looked at me, and I held still, and I tilted the feeder to make sure that he would have plenty of drink on his side of the feeder. And he took a couple of sips, and then he sat down on the feeder, and he continued to just drink for a while. It was very cool. He just sat there, and I just let him sit there. I love those moments. It helps to make up for the other moments that are less Disney-esque. It's always interesting to me. It seems like when you want the packages to be done, there's always more seeds in it than you wanted. And when you don't want the packages to be done, there's never enough seeds in it. On the other side, I'm trying not to step on oregano and bachelor buttons and California poppies. Jeez. Normally I would have, this got drier than I had hoped. That's not cool. There are some couple of dill plants coming up in here. Those are self-seeded, and I always try and let those guys go, and that way we can harvest dill when it becomes available. Henry really likes dill in his cucumber salads and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll see what we manage to do this year. But I have a really nice self-seeded dill collection in the greenhouse. Haven't taken you guys in there in a while. It's very messy. I need to do some more cleanup and stuff like that. And it just hasn't happened. I'm trying to get ready for a show in California in a few weeks, and I need to do lots of production for that, so we'll see. And Facebook went crazy the other day, which is always entertaining, and it reposted, for some reason, I have no idea why, a ton of emails that I had posted anywhere from a year to, 6 months to a year ago. Well, the nice thing is people are noticing the emails. The unnice thing is they're going, isn't that event at this time of year or something like that? And I'm like, yeah. And I posted, I said, Facebook lost its marbles, and has just reposted all this stuff. I mean, I've been trying to stay up with it because some people have questions and stuff like that, so you always try and answer questions for people. But it was very annoying because I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't post this stuff. One of my girlfriends wrote me and she said, did you mean to post this? And I said, I didn't. Facebook lost its mind. And I don't know, a lot of the stuff is from the same group, so I'm kind of wondering if it might have to do specifically with that group. Like, did they not approve my posts and suddenly they decided to approve my posts, or what the heck? I mean, you know, I don't post weird things on groups. I'm not one of those people who has to get banned. It's always about something I'm doing in my shop, or, you know, something to do with the store or the business or something. So I'm not one of those crazies who posts things that are inappropriate in groups, but and then wonders why they get banned. Yeah. So I don't know. It's just, I must have spent an hour the other day answering questions and saying to people, no, I didn't post this. Facebook lost its mind. And that's it. I'm going to shorten that. And mark that with a stick. This is definitely dry dirt, so I'm going to have to make more of an effort to get this. Usually I rehydrate the bed before I plant anything. And I honestly didn't realize this had gotten this dry. We've had some very breezy weather the last couple of days, and I guess it dried out more than I thought it had. And this bed had not been mulched, so it was probably drier than I thought it was to start with. So, get the peas in. This bed has already got a top irrigation line set on it. So all I need to do is find some appropriate emitters. I am going to sort through some of this stuff because my conclusion is some of the stuff is junk. And I don't want junk.